Welcome to Distracted Driving. And I am joined today not by Rex Williams. Rex is on vacation this week. Instead, I have a collection of, I don't want to say old friends because then it makes you sound old. So long-time friends, maybe?
You could probably call us old. It still fits.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, but then I'm going to put myself in that category too. So
Fair point. Fair point.
yeah, I have three fellow industrial engineering graduates. We all graduated from Cal Poly SLO together just a couple of years ago. So we have, I almost called you Amanda Kwok because that's how my brain is, in fact, we're just going to. We're going to do it.
That's how I know her.
Unless you tell us we can't. We have Amanda, we have Eric, we have Rick. They all have nicknames that maybe we'll get to. It depends on what kind of a show we have. Welcome, guys.
Hey.
And gal.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me on, Sean.
So Eric, you had the Jameson there.
I do, yes.
The IPA edition. I've actually had that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's aged in the IPA barrels, right?
Yeah. No, this is actually the first time I've had it, but I enjoy it. In fact, I think I probably enjoy it a little bit more than your regular run-of-the-mill Jameson. Not that there's such a thing as bad Jameson in my mind.
Well, you can't see this if you're listening because it's a podcast, but I have my Cal Poly Martini glass to celebrate the occasion here. The four of us were just in San Luis Obispo for a little a reunion. Actually, I think we decided it was the trial run for our 19th, or our trial
20th.
run for our 20th reunion. This was the 19th year, so I think as practicing goes, we did pretty good.
It was a lot of fun, actually.
I had a great time.
It was a lot of fun. Rick, I'm going to mute you for just a second.
Wow, that's kind of rude.
That's a lot of background noise coming from you, buddy. I don't know if we can fix that now.
It's because he's joining us from his palatial estate.
That's right. That's right, next to the babbling brook. So I was trying to think about, all right, what are we going to talk about? Because I don't remember any of the things we were talking about in SLO. That's not entirely true, but I think what we could do, this is a unique opportunity. We have four people who all graduated from the same program who went out and did different stuff. So maybe that's a place to start. The show is about challenging the status quo. I think I know that all three of you, and then myself included, have done that in some way, shape, or form. Let's just start off. Where are you now, and how did you end up there professionally? We'll get to the personal stuff maybe later.
Can I just make a little interjection for those of you
Please.
that are watching
Yes.
the video? This is my dog Molly. She's a sweetheart. And then if you look back, that is not a fellow reporter in the newsroom. That is my better half, Megan.
Hello, Molly and Megan.
Yeah, was it Rick or Eric that said they feel like they're a reporter during COVID?
That was definitely me. In fact, if we wait long enough, you remember the video of the CNN guy that had his kid come in through the walker? That could still happen. My half-naked boys could barge in at any moment. So bonus content for those of you watching video at home.
I'm muting Rick again. Rick, you just we'll tell you when you're on, Rick. Don't worry about it.
Rick is giving us a tour of his palatial estate.
Yeah, we just went through a weight room It
Yeah.
looks like now we're in either a basement or a garage. Um, I don't see Joe Biden there, so it must be a garage. Manders, let's start with you. You graduated from Cal Poly,
I did.
and then what?
Um, I actually, almost right after graduation, that same year in November, I started working for an engineering consulting firm where I still am. So, and I'm going on 19 years there. So it's,
Well, that tracks. That tracks with our earlier math. Yeah, I mean, can we talk about what you do?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it anyway. It's my show.
You've seen it.
So yeah, you do some really fun stuff. Well, at least you used to back when I was local to you. Fun stuff with vehicle simulators, and we were talking the other day about how you had my grandfather in the simulator as well,
Oh, Don.
testing out various new technology options, looking at the human factors.
Yeah.
That's really your specialty is human factors now, right?
Yes, that's my main world right now. And so I run and develop these driving studies in our simulators. We have a full motion driving simulator as well as a fixed base driving simulator. And we actually run studies over the road as well, which gets kind of crazy. But it's
That
anything.
sounds that sounds fun.
It is, until you get drivers that you feel like you don't really want to be on the road with them and they're driving and you kind of hope that you make it back safe.
And unlike a driving school car, you don't have a brake pedal on your side, do you?
No, these are generally they're production level vehicles. Sometimes we have prototypes, but yeah, I mean you're just at their mercy.
Was this an intentional move for you, or an intentional, I guess, path, or like me, did you just need a job and they were hiring
Yes,
19 years ago?
yes.
That one?
I totally thought I was going into like medical devices and probably something human factors like and but yeah, I got here and stayed here.
Um, yeah, we talked about kind of that topic a few episodes ago. I think it was Brian Brooks with the career path. Was it intentional or not? And in his words, or maybe it was mine, it was more about following opportunity. I'm probably going to ask all three of you when we're done going around the room here, for what advice you might offer. We'll turn this into an advice column. What advice you might offer to somebody graduating today. So start thinking about that. And maybe we'll talk more about vehicle simulators. But let's go clockwise on my screen down to Mr. Eric Leonard James.
Could I actually ask a couple of questions of Amanda before we get off of her?
Let me check
Her
with the producers. Hang on. Let me check with the
okay.
producers. Yeah, no, that'll be fine.
I had two questions for you, Amanda.
Yeah.
My first question was: is there a specific type of automobile or brand of automobile that you are simulating? Um, and then my second question was: how is it that you got Sean's grandpa as one of your test
That's
subjects?
actually an excellent question too. So we actually were considered kind of the third party independent consultant. And so we have evaluated for most OEMs. And so it's anytime someone has a new in-vehicle system, whether it's safety or infotainment, then we'll implement it into our driving simulator and and help them out to evaluate it, to test it out. Oh, and then so as far as Sean's grandpa goes, all of our participants, they're we actually have a driving or a participant database, and so whenever we find new participants, it's all word of mouth. And so when Sean was local, and I called him and I was like, "Hey, come and be a participant, come drive." And then also, do you know anybody? that can come do this, especially if they're old. Er.
Er.
Okay, so now you've got me thinking. I feel like there's an opportunity to do another podcast, another distracted driving podcast from the simulator. No, maybe.
Oh, that's up to Manders.
I mean,
That is pretty
probably.
funny though. That's on theme, Eric. I see where you're going with that.
Yes. So I,
I'm envisioning. Sorry, Manders, give me just a second. I'm envisioning a theme we are like the recurring guests. That's what I'm hoping for.
From the simulation or test car. Actually, it's better if it's the test car on the road because then we're truly distracted driving.
yeah, and we do a lot of distracted driver analysis and, guideline evaluations. So it would totally be on it.
So what I remember, first of all, Eric, she glossed over kind of the key element and the real reason that I and my grandfather got involved is they pay you, it turns out, to be a test subject. No, that's not true.
Sign me up, please.
I did it for Amanda, but the money helped.
I mean,
I
it's good.
remember.
It actually, and it's even gone up since you've come in.
Oh, I think it was like $50 20 years ago. So yeah,
Per hour?
I would hope it went up. Well, you usually only had me by the hour.
Okay. Well,
It's always a minimum
Which-
$100.
Which leads me to a funny story. What I remember from the first time, I don't remember how many times I went into the simulator, a couple probably, but the first time, and I have to back up, when I met you, Amanda, we were in that project together. We were in that project group together for I think it was the human factors class actually, and you got a nickname because we were putting our project presentation together, and we decided somehow, some way, we were going to get some felt. We wanted some felt in the display or whatever we had made. I can't remember now what it was. And you were going to get the felt.
And I never.
And we kept asking you, Amanda, did you get the felt?
No.
And then eventually we dropped the indefinite article, and it was Amanda, get felt. And by the end of the project, we never got felt.
No. Never got felt.
So I remember going into the simulator with you and making some jokes along that line, and you leaning over to me going, they record everything in the car, right?
Yep. Once we
Wouldn't
go,
have stopped me, but it was good to know.
we do have video of bloopers of people.
Oh,
Yeah.
Am I in any of the blooper videos?
No, because
Then
you were
I need to come back.
you were quite restrained.
Well, I'm semi-local again, so
Yeah, when we start up again, you should come down.
that's the first time I've heard the origins of that nickname, and now I know if the question is ever get felt, the answer apparently is no.
No, we did not get felt. All right, Eric. What would you say you do here?
Still trying to figure it out. I'm a little bit. I got to say, I'm a little bit kind of a wayward goose from the three of you, in that I'm not really in an industrial engineering type field. After I graduated and finally finished my senior project, I applied for a job on Monster.com, a little throwback for you, and got a job as a sales application engineer for York International, which is a heating and air conditioning manufacturing company. And I worked there in that entry-level position and got promoted to senior application engineer before actually moving on to a mechanical contractor that installs heating and air conditioning and plumbing And I've basically been going back and forth between those two functions for the past years, and yeah,
We
so it's a little
we know
little
it's going to be
different.
double digits. The cat's out of the bag. It's going to be double digits.
I haven't hit 20 yet. I'm close.
Well, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. If we're only at our 19 years since we graduated, you're right. I'm only at 18 in the industry, but still very much a technical field, very much a engineering type field where you're taking complex systems and breaking them down to find solutions. But certainly I think a little bit different than probably what the three of you have the paths that you have gone down. But it's been a lot of fun. I've met such interesting people. I know that Sean's a big fan of Mike Rowe. I've worked with so many guys that they work out in the field, and they're such amazing problem solvers. And these are guys that think that they weren't smart enough to go to college or didn't have what it takes, quote unquote, to go to college, and they're they can do complex, even if it's just fractions, they're doing complex fractions off the top of their head because they need to, because measurements depend on it. And especially most of my career has been involved in existing buildings and a lot of retrofit work. And you have to have a lot of problem solving savvy to be able to create a new system or a replacement system in an existing building while still complying with all of the requirements of the existing building, but also needing to meet current construction codes and energy codes and mechanical codes, and it's really impressive some of the people I've met along the way, so to speak.
Actually, Eric, I think one thing we have in common is that you talk about retrofit work. I I enjoy having to make existing systems better. Whether it's, you're talking about HVAC, it could be just a business system. A big portion of my career was spent supporting this airplane behind me, and for those of you not watching, it's the KC-135. It's a very old military refueling aircraft. The newest one was built in 1965. And that program was all about fixing them, taking them apart, fixing them, putting them back together. And I think it's the addition of those constraints that are introduced that makes it a more fun problem for me, at least, to solve. Because when you have a brand new building, in the case of your example, it's like, all right, well, green field, right? Let's just move where that wall's going to go because we haven't built it yet. But if you've got the structure already and you're trying to figure out, well, how do we now upgrade this equipment? How do we get it in? How do we get it out? Whatever, all the other problems, you've got these constraints there. It's more of a challenging engineering problem to solve.
Absolutely, and I honestly, it's more fun, because
Well, because that's what we do.
yeah, it challenges your brain a little more. I've done some new construction work too, and it's not the same. It doesn't give you quite the challenge as going in and upgrading an existing facility.
Now, you've been doing that. You've had some minor changes, but you've been doing that, as you said, for years. And was that intentional? Like you like it so much you wanted to stay, or you just never had another opportunity, or what's your perspective there?
It's one of those where you kind of start going down a path and you create relationships on that path. You gain a knowledge base going down that path, and before you know it, the next opportunity is within the industry, because that's where people that need people, and you have a situation where you've worked with them before. They know and like what you're capable of, and they say, well, why don't you come over and join my team? And then before you know it, here you are, 18 years into the business. I've seen more than quite a few people. I know more than quite a few people, not to toot my own horn, but and you make those relationships that even if you don't know someone, you know someone that knows someone that is looking for someone to join their team or add to their team or help their team, and it just kind of naturally progressed that way.
Yeah, well, I forgot to ask Amanda the same question. Let's go there first. Same question. You've been there for just for years, and was that intentional?
I don't.
Or I should say, is that intentional?
I mean, it wasn't initially, but it just, there was not a whole lot reason to leave. And I found that I really enjoy what I do. It's fun because, the projects turn over pretty quickly. Sometimes it gets really intense where, you have longer days and nights where you're, writing up the reports, but you're on a new project in like maybe 4 months, sometimes as long as 6 months or so, but it's kind of cool that it turns over pretty quick.
Okay, well, that's it for episode 10. And since Rex is still on vacation, I've asked Eric to play co-host for just a few more moments and help us close out episode 10. Before we chat any more about that, I'm going to apologize right now. So I apologize for the horrible
Apology
audio.
accepted.
Thank you. I appreciate your graciousness. The sound turned out to be horrible, particularly for me. It's way too hot. I've done my best to fix it up, but it's going to persist through the rest of our conversation, which was long and interesting. And as tends to be the case, it got more interesting as the conversation progressed.
There may have been some cocktails involved, too, that helped that conversation progress.
It tends to be the natural evolution, but I think you're right. I think the Jameson and the martini might have contributed. I was struck, though, by what Amanda was saying there at the end. Her affinity for project-based work. I find the same thing to be true for myself, which maybe is why I switch jobs every 2 to 3 years, even if I don't switch companies. It sort of lends itself well, what we've chosen to do lends itself well to project-based work.
I think I think when you have that project style, it kind of keeps it fresh, keeps the job interesting because no two projects, are identical. So it's kind of something new every time.
And as soon as you maybe start getting worn down on one, it's time to end that project and move on to the next one.
That's right.
Like this episode. So that's it for episode 10. We're going to pick it up next time. It gets a little bit more entertaining. We'll find out about what Rick does and so much more. Thanks for listening. Remember, you can check us out at the website, www.distracteddrivingpodcast.com. And you can get the podcast wherever they are given away for free on your favorite podcasting platform. I am Sean Genovese. Eric James, thank you for pitching in and pinch hitting for Rex Williams.
Absolutely. I'm hoping Rex is having a lovely time wherever he is vacationing.
I'm sure he is. Maybe if he's there long enough, he'll get to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? That's got to be a meta experience for him. It's like I'm outside of my own body, looking at myself, but not myself.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.